Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell. Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Myself and my co-host getting you ready to get to the window. An unbelievable slate today in the NBA. A couple trades going down, kind of goofing that market up. And the college slate tonight, I'm telling you, I probably got 10 games that have opened my eyes. I'm obviously not going to play or release them, but I will obviously give you my leans, what I'm seeing here on our side of the desk. First shutout, Sean King, Veasan, the real Sean King, had an amazing 45 minutes of college talk of his days in Tulane to the NFL days at the Bucks. But let me go back to the Tulane for a second. And he said it so perfectly. He had a perfect season, and they went undefeated. They won the Liberty Bowl. They beat BYU. And the amazing part, he nailed it. If that was this past year, they were the Cincinnati of that back there in the 90s. There was no, as he said, you were in Division I or you were in Division II, so there were no Power Fives. There was none of that. And to get the recognition, you had your Channel 5, your games there. You had your Notre Dame at 2:00, and then you had a 7:00, and that was it. And to see what he did with that, and then parlay it into, the situation that happened, like he explained. He went to Tampa, and they were supposed to win the Super Bowl, and Trent got hurt, and he led them, to a title. He led them to a playoff win, and then they came up short against the Rams. And he even remembers like it was yesterday, the play that should have got called that didn't get called, or reversed, that kept him away from the Super Bowl. But now he's in Vegas, working at Veasan with Tim Murray. Get on over to Circus, say hi to him. The nicest guy in the world. And we were blessed and honored to have him. And I can't wait to see him in a couple weeks in March when we get out there, and then have him on as many times as he'd like to come on. He's welcome anytime. So with that said, let's go to my co-host. He's got to have a big slate. I sure do. So without further ado, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good afternoon, Scott.
Jeffrey, how are you today, my friend?
I'm fired up. I'm jacked up. The Sean got me, he hit so many chords from the Tulane days. I remember those to his days with the Bucks. And then we started talking about the Brian Flores situation, and to hear him talk, you know, about what actually goes on in these interviews. And he called it like so perfectly, the fact that these CEOs, these billionaires, are head of these interviews, and they're not liking what they're hearing. They don't want the X and O guy that's going to lead their team in the trenches to keep that locker room afloat. They like you said, they kind of want puppets.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the outside looking in at that kind of stuff. I'm sure that he has more opportunity because of who he is and where he played and some of his background to actually speak to some of those guys. But I would say that it's almost like any other industry or any other business, and to expect the owner of a company to understand playbook and all that kind of stuff and recognize a defense or recognize what works against this play and what that's the wrong thing to even think about. I think the right thing to think about is the representation of what your company is and what it is that you look like on the field. And in this day and age, there's two things. Perception is really important, and perception of immaculacy and preciseness and operation standard is what's important to an owner, and and then you got to try to win. So they want a clean bill of slate. They want things to look good. They want things to be pretty. So when you go hire somebody, they want somebody who can speak well, who can navigate the media well, who can do a lot of things that don't necessarily equate to winning football games. So I get all of those things, but at the same time, I'm not in that room. Sean King's not in that room either, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Sean King or anybody else. It's just an opinion part of it. I think that there's a lot to be said and be played into all these people that like this Rich Bisaccia guy that was with the Raiders and he didn't get a job. There's a reason why he didn't get a job. We don't know what it is. And you can sit here and say, yeah, he just led this team to wherever he led the team to. But there's a reason why he's not a head coach. There's a reason why Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach. There's a reason. And we're not privy to that because we're not in the room and listening to those guys interview. So anyway, just thoughts.
And he talked about that, okay? And you said a couple things as well. And listen, it happens in our lane, Scott. There's a lot of window dressing that's going on in our lanes, whether it's on social media, whether it's on the radio, whether it's on big platforms, big stages. And these guys spouting out at the side of their neck like they're the end all be all, and they don't know jack. They don't know jack. But they are giving the privilege of speaking to tens upon tens upon tens upon tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, because that's what their followings are and stuff. And unfortunately, they're kind of getting guided in the wrong way. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, you have the right to listen to whoever the hell you want to. You can change the station. You can mute it. You can do whatever you want. And when it comes to the NFL, he brought up the Oakland coach and the fact that I even talked about, look what that damn guy did this year. Chucky gets fired. Henry Ruggs gets a DUI, kills two people or kills one person. Okay. I always bring up Madden passes away in the middle of the season. The fact is there was so much chaos going on, and he was 2 plays away from beating the Bengals, who wouldn't even be in the Super Bowl right now. Yet he doesn't even get the job. He gets a special teams assistant, whatever now for the Packers. And you bring up Bieniemy. We bring up Brian Flores, and I talked to him, and I told you on the show. The rumor had it that if Brian Flores didn't get a head coaching job, he was coming back to the Pats. And today, just now, they bring back Joe Judge. There's talk about bringing Gase back. There's talk about bringing Bill O'Brien back. And so billionaires, that's what they are. They're billionaires, the 31, 32 owners, and they're talking to the athletes that are millionaires, and some of these coaches are not even millionaires. They're making a couple $100,000 a year, and they're looking to get into that part of the game. And it's kind of tough. Like you said, we're not privy to be behind those doors. We don't know if you interview well, you interviewed bad, you're not answering the questions correctly. And someone like yourself who played in the MLB, you've been a part of these. You work now for big companies. You know what they're looking for, where the average person doesn't.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I'll say is that these people who own these companies, these CEOs, they're not stupid people. They're not. They're very smart, and they're very good about what they do, and what they do is make money, and their money makes money. So if they don't want anything to hamper that they want their companies to do well. They want everything to be a spot where the image is clean, everything is good. And the truth is that sometimes they don't hire the best people. Sometimes they don't surround themselves with the right people. My close-up shop today is going to be around a lot of this stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. I guess the way I'm going to say it is this way. There's a lot that's said about the way organizations are run. But if you're not part of the organization and be inside it, you don't understand the choices and decisions that are made, because certainly on the outside looking in, you might think that something's a pretty damn simple choice to make, but it's really not. And the reason that the person got chosen, or this happened, or that happened, or whatever, you're not privy to know all the different facts that led into those decisions. Baseball managers have that problem sometimes when they're questioned on certain things. So unless you're in the room, it's just best to go and say, okay, well, whatever, they made their best decision, whatever that decision was, and however, and then down the line that you can grade them on that decision. But to grade them on the process, I don't think is the most appropriate way to handle stuff like that.
No, and I'll close with this. I stick to what I feel that myself is my strongest points in this business. Okay. I've never claimed to be a tennis guy. I've never claimed to be a soccer guy. As much as I've looked into it, or I've even reached out to certain experts, or UFC. We have guys in Vegas that are at the fights. And if I get a quick phone call, text, or an email, say, hey, load up here or there, then we'll do that. But if I know I'm weak in areas, I reach out and find the people who are strong in that area. And again, unfortunately, it's a process, whether we're looking for a soccer, tennis, or UFC guy, or looking for a head coach in any sport to manage my team. If I'm a billionaire and I want my team to be successful, well, I want the right person in place,
No question. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's and it all has to mesh, because there's a general manager and there's other things involved than just the on-field stuff.
I got the board in front of us. You had a couple NBA trades. McCollum gets traded. Sabonis gets traded. Celtics still holding their hands, and that's for another day. But an interesting board, nevertheless. The hardwood is yours.
Yeah, we were already on the Phoenix and Philadelphia over, so I'm not necessarily going to go back onto that one. But that was one from the morning show that we decided we were going to pull the trigger on at the beginning of the day. And then I'm just going to tell you, excuse me, I did play Boston today. I know that it's not the number that's 6.5 or whatever that you could have got it at the beginning of the day. It's 8.5. But I'm okay with the 8.5. And the reason that I'm okay with the 8.5 is this is one of those games, Jeff, where we've watched and looked at and seen a trend. This is where, Brooklyn, I don't know who they're playing today. I mean, I know they're playing Patty Mills, and Blake Griffin's going to be the starting center tonight. Aldridge is not playing, which he hasn't been. Claxton, who has been playing, he's not playing. Durant's not playing. Harden's not playing. Irving's not playing. Joe Harris not playing. Millsap's not playing. None of these guys are playing. So the guys that are playing, not that they're not of value or they're not good players. These are the best players in the world. Even the guys that don't get to play all the time, they're the best players in the world. But when they're going up against a team that's pretty healthy and on a roll, I'm expecting a blowout here. I mean, 10 points or more for Boston on the road, I don't think is too much to ask out of that team tonight. So I like Boston in this matchup. The Brooklyn's just fighting with no hands in front of them. I mean, it's not even going out there with one arm behind their back. That's two. So I'm good. I'm good with Boston here tonight. And the other one that I looked at that I think is a good value and it's a stinker. I mean, you gotta like stinkers. It's the Houston Rockets tonight. I took Houston Rockets. The number went up to 9.5, and when we looked at it this morning, Jeff, it was 8.5. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Rockets plus the 9.5 against New Orleans. And I know that New Orleans is the team that makes the trade and done some other stuff, but so they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves tonight and probably feel, try to play as best they can with a little bit of a short team because they're waiting on the other guys to show up. McCollum and those guys that they got traded for, they're not going to play tonight. So, but anyway, I still like the Houston Rockets tonight plus the 9. My number is really a lot closer than the 9. It's more like 6, 5, 6. So I think we're getting a little bit of value here, and the numbers going the right way for me to take the number. So I got 3 plays today. I'm Phoenix, Philadelphia is over the number. It went. When we were looking at that earlier today, Jeff, that number was flying high. I played it at 217.5. And then I was scared to tell people that I played it at 217.5 because it was already at 218.5, and it was hitting 219 at places. So I told him to go ahead and play it at 218. Now it's back to 217.5 again. So I think that's the right number to be at. I think that, I like the over in that game. My number shows 221. And that's I like the idea that Phoenix just played yesterday. They played a hard-fought game. I don't think they're going to be as good on defense tonight in a back-to-back spot. So I kind of like the game to go over the number. And then I'm taking the Boston Celtics minus 8.5 and Houston plus 9.5.
Full slate for sure. Let's hope the NBA gods and the phone calls are with us today. Going to the college ranks. I talked to a few people in between shows today. I kind of thought that the North Carolina would end up being a favorite, and sure enough, they are. They went from a +1 or a pick 'em this morning when we were on the air. They're now currently -1.5 at our friends at Circa. One across the Vegas Strip, 66% of the bets, 85% of the money on Carolina. People looking for a bounce back. I'm going to stay away. It's got too public for me. It's a 6 o'clock start. I'm going to let everyone start their day with it. I think it'll be a pretty tough battle. I do lean Carolina, though. I think they bounce back. They've been putrid on the road, but I'm definitely going to stay away from that one. I'm just going to talk about this game. Rotation number 605, 606. Marquette at Connecticut. You guys know all about it. UConn playing at the XL Center, which hasn't been the greatest for them. Coach Hurley and a lot of the UConn Twitter faithful barking, no pun intended there, about the fan support at Hartford at the XL Center. Today, in comes a Marquette team that is rolling. The return of Shaka, and his team is rolling. A UConn team that's lost 2 in a row. Opened at 5.5, and they're 6.5, or you can get them at 6 at South Point. 76% of the bets, 81% of the money coming in on Marquette. Guys, I can tell you this. When UConn has to play a game in the middle 50s, low 60s, they've been awful. When they can get into the mid to high 70s and 80s, they've been rolling. Okay? Got them projected right now around 76 or 78 points. I think that's a comfortable spot for them. Am I releasing this to my VIP crew? No, I'm not. If you wanted to lean on this game, I think this is the season for UConn. They are not winning the Big East regular season, okay? This is a stop the bleeding and make a statement, and I think they make the statement tonight against Marquette. If you shop around, hopefully you can get the 6. But I think UConn puts up 76, 78 points at least today. I think defensively they keep Marquette in the mid to low 60s, and I could see UConn in a double-digit victory tonight. All right, rotation number 613, 614, Ohio at Toledo. If you haven't seen what Ohio has done this year, do me a favor, Google them. They are just steamrolling people, steamrolling them, 20, 25, 30. Yet they opened up 4.5-point underdogs today. 4.5. Like Marquette, like Providence, like Ohio. They're just not getting the respect right now. 59% of the bets, 82% of the money coming in Ohio. It's gone from 4.5 to 3, 2.5 at DraftKings and Caesars. I just got to say this. They opened up 4.5 for a reason. Am I going to step in front of this Ohio train? No, I'm not. I'm not. But I would lean Toledo. I got to respect that opening number. I'm not playing the game. I'm just telling you, they opened up 4.5 for a reason. I'm staying away. Wouldn't be shocked to see Toledo win by 4 or 5 or more. VCU and Richmond, rotation number Rhode Island. I'm sorry. Rotation number 615, 616. VCU opened at 6.5, now 5. 53% of the bets, 81% of the money on VCU. I lean Rhode Island here. I like them. Usually the dog and the road team covers here. Scotty, what do you have for numbers?
Yeah, this one's showing 66% of the money's on Rhode Island, 78% of the tickets on VCU.
Sharper, heavier money coming in on Rhodey. Less tickets. I lean Rhodey there, plus the 5. Sprinkle in a little beer and pizza money. You can get that probably, I guess, around 150, 155. Rotation number 617, 618. Wisconsin at Michigan State. Michigan State opened up at 4.5 as a flat 4. 60% of the bets, 54% of the money on Michigan State.
Yeah, 66% of the money, 55% of the tickets on Michigan State.
It's a game I'm staying away. It's a game where Michigan State looks to bounce back from a dreadful loss at Rutgers. A Wisconsin team, when I've faded them, they've gone box to wire. When I've had them, they've kicked me in the you-know-what. I think the number's pretty spot on. It's a total of 139. You're looking at a 72-68 game all day here. So I'm staying away. Iowa State at West Virginia. This one's gained some steam since this morning. Rotation number 619, 620. West Virginia opened up at 1.5, now 2 or 2.5. 83% of the bets, 98% of the money on the Mountaineers.
Yeah, 81% of the money, 73% of the bets on West Virginia.
Yeah, and it's a team that I think personally, not Huggins' best team. Iowa State started out 12-0, and they've kind of come crashing back to earth. I don't like the public side of West Virginia, even though I think that they would win. I would never play a game at 83-98 split. So I'm staying away, but I wouldn't be shocked to see the Cyclones pull the upset there. Rotation number 621, 622, Okie State at TCU. TCU opened at 3.5, now 2.5 and 2. 68% of the money, 68% of the bets, 83% of the money on TCU. Strong reverse line movement on Oklahoma State, Scott.
Yeah, it's not showing that over here. This is a $43,000 bet on this game, so it's up there. You know, your bigger ones have over 100,000 already, but this is $43,000 bet, and it's 55% of the money's on Oklahoma State, 69% of the tickets on TCU.
All right, we'll pass there. All right, here is hands down the public trendy dog of the day. Auburn, number 1 in the country. 1 loss this year. 1 loss, and their only loss was to UConn. I had to get that in there. Rotation number 623, 624. Auburn at Arkansas. Auburn opened at 2.5, now 1.5. 53% of the bets, 54% of the money, all on Auburn. They have struggled their last 2 road games as double-digit favorites, and they've squeaked out wins. Everyone on Twitter sphere, on social media, has Arkansas winning today, Scott.
Yeah, this one's showing 52% of the money's on Arkansas, 63% of the tickets is on Auburn, and this has $120,000 wagered on it so far.
Listen, I can see this. Usually when it looks too good, it is too good. The absolute value play here is Auburn. And I would say the money line, you probably get it around minus 122. I'm not saying Arkansas doesn't win and they don't go box to wire. This kind of exactly looks like the Kansas-Texas game. The only difference is Texas opened up the favorite, then Kansas got flipped. Here it's been Auburn the favorite the whole time since they're the number one team in the country, but Arkansas didn't flip it. So I'm staying away. I'm keeping my 18-1 Auburn national championship ticket alive. I'm rooting for them home. Wouldn't be shocked to see Arkansas win, but it's a game that I'm staying away from. I talked about this on the show this morning, Scott. Rotation number 633, 634, Kentucky at South Carolina. No one's rolling better than Kentucky. A huge win at Bama over the weekend. They opened up 11.5-point favorites, now 10.5. And I talked about that earlier today. 62% of the bets, 78% of the money, all coming in on the Cats. I'm not saying South Carolina is going to win the game, but I'm telling you, I like them at 11.5. I like them at 11. I still like them at 10.5.
Yeah, 74% of the money, 77% of the tickets, all on Kentucky.
Yeah, I think South Carolina is a nice little dog today. And listen, this is strictly beer and pizza, and this is for pure shits and giggles. You can probably get them plus 220, 240 on the money line at least. Just sprinkle a little 10 spot and, root them on. Grab the 10.5, 11.5, wherever you can get them at. LSU and A&M, 635, 636 on the rotation. LSU opened at 2.5, now 1.5 and a flat one. I'm showing 56% of the bets, 86% of the money on the Aggies.
Yeah, it's a split here. It's 57% of the money's on Texas A&M, 66% of the tickets on LSU.
So the public has spoken. They're saying that A&M wins here. LSU just going in the wrong direction. If you get the LSU team that started out the season 12-0, well, they should go box to wire. I have no strong opinion in this game. It would be a popcorn game for me. I think, though, your public trendy dog here again is on A&M. So just buyer beware there. Rotation number 659, 660, Missouri at Vanderbilt. Line opened at 6.5, is now 8. There is a 7.5. 67% of the bets, 52% of the money on Missouri, Scott.
Yeah, 70% of the money and 55% of the tickets on Missouri. Very small bet game, though, only 13,000.
Yeah, I'm going to pass. Initially, I was going to lean Missouri there, but the numbers are fluctuating too much there. I'll pass. 661, 662, Wichita State at Central Florida, a 9 p.m. tip-off. Central Florida opened up minus 1.5, now 2 at Circa, 1.5 across the Vegas Strip. 67% of the bets, 67% of the money, all on Central Florida.
Yeah, 61% of the money, 84% of the tickets on Central Florida.
Slight lean on Wichita State here. But again, if Central Florida does play well at home, don't know which shocker team you're going to get. I would lean Wichita State here just because of the 67%, 67% tickets and money public side there. So I would lean Shockers there. Illinois and Purdue, the 9:00 game of the day. Rotation number 663, 664. Purdue opens up 6.5-point favorites, now 5.5 across the Vegas Strip. 83% of the bets, 86% of the money on the Illini.
Yeah, that's a little bit high on this one. It's showing 69% of the money, 64% of the tickets on Illinois.
I mean, I thought the number was high to start. I mean, Illinois has been playing some good ball. Same with Purdue. I mean, Purdue, when they're locked in, they've been rolling by double digits easy. It's a popcorn game for me. I could see either side if you wanted to try to convince me. I'm just going to stay away on that game. Portland, San Francisco, San Fran has been rolling. They had a little hiccup on a cover this weekend, but they have had no problem covering 18, 19-point favorites. I think that they roll here. I don't suggest to play a minus 18. I'm just telling you guys, keep an eye on San Francisco. They are a good team this year. Colorado State and Nevada. That is a 11 o'clock start. Colorado State opened up at 5, now 6.5 or 6. 73% of the bets, 76% of the money, Scott, on Colorado State.
Yeah, this is $23,000 bet. So again, not big yet. I mean, it's a later game, but it's showing 96% of the money, 95% of the tickets, all on Colorado State.
Yeah, Nevada is not good this year. Colorado State has had a real good year. We had them late last week for a win. I would lean Colorado State, but again, it's too public for me, so we'd stay away. I talked about UCLA and Stanford this morning. Opened at 7.5, staying at 7.5. There is an 8 at DraftKings. 51% of the bets, 69% of the money on UCLA coming off the triple overtime OT win at Arizona State on Saturday. Again, Stanford's played great. They've been playing good. I think the 7.5 is too much, especially after a team, what they went through on the weekend. But I look at what Arizona did in the second half last night against Arizona State, and they just steamrolled them. So I would lean Stanford in the home dog there. And last but not least, 11 o'clock start, 677, 678. St. Mary's of California at Santa Clara. Line opened at 2, now 2.5. But I'm showing 59% of the bets, 51% of the money on Santa Clara.
Showing 63% of the money on Santa Clara, 53% of the tickets on St. Mary's.
Some reverse line movement on St. Mary's. If that line drops to 2 and your money line's in that 123, 125 spot, I'd be more apt to play St. Mary's on the money line instead of getting caught up in a 2.5 spot. I think they win the game here. So keep an eye. That'll be one of the late night specials as well. But the board is huge. There's so many games. The best thing I can say to everyone watching and listening right now is this. If you have a question, DM me. EC Sports Invest on Twitter. I'll respond. I'll answer back to any of your questions. The same with Scott. Webby 20 MLB. Any MLB question, any baseball question, whatever it is. We're here to educate. We do entertain once in a while, but we're here to educate. We want to try to make it as easy as possible for you at the window. If you don't understand what we're saying, ask. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. All right. Without further ado, it is time for, let me get out of this right here, for your Webbies. I can't even get out of here, Scott. Hold on. Need a producer. Anyone wants to work? Anyone looking for an internship? How's that sound? Anyone looking for an internship? We've got the job for you. Producing, social media. Send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com or DM me, please. Without further ado, Webbies, words of wisdom.
Yeah, today's going to be about your circle of influence and more auditing it. In life, your circle of influence, there's some you can control and some you can't. I mean, obviously, you're not going to throw away your children. You're not necessarily going to get rid of your spouse, but everybody that surrounds you, those people, your friends, your coworkers, acquaintances, people you come across, they are influences in your life. These are people that are going to determine and help define how you think, how you define success. These are people that are going to be helping you figure out how to respond to stress and how you set your standards for yourself. So you got to be real careful as to who you choose to allow in this circle. Are these people helping you become a better version of you? I think it's time that you all sit back, myself included, everyone, and audit this circle. You are responsible for you, no one else, you. And you allow what it is to be for you and not anyone else. So if you're allowing these people in your circle of influence, they better be helping you become a better person. Your results are controlled by your attitudes and your actions. So control your attitudes, control your actions, and take actions. And in this case, take actions to audit your circle. In the sports business, in our world, we need to be in such a positive culture and such a positive environment that if you allow these naysayers and negative-minded people into your world, you're going to have influences that are going to cost you the plan that you make, the process that you have. You're going to veer off of it, and then you're either on someone else's plan or no plan. The reality of it is you need to get to a point where you're in control of your thoughts, and the people that help you control your thoughts help you with what it is you're wagering on and in keeping consistent with what you're doing. So pay attention to who you're listening to. Pay attention to what you read, what you watch, where it comes from. These videos that Jeff and I do, the things that we do, you watch on TV, those things all influence how you think. And if you're thinking incorrectly when you take a wager to the window, you're not going to be in a good spot. And then you don't have the support and the mechanisms around you to fix it. So as you go forward and you start to do these things, always think about what better version of yourself can you become and who's going to help you get there. And if those people are allowed in your circle, then by God, make them be there and support them and root for them because they're helping you. If not, time to audit those people and cut them out.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. See some people on social media talking about getting rid of the negativity, getting rid of the people in life, the naysayers, the ones that don't believe, I guess is what I'd like to say. We don't have time for drama, Scott. It doesn't, there's 24 hours in a day. You're supposed to sleep 8 of those. You and I know that's a lie. We don't sleep 8 hours a day, but there's 16 hours in the day. And, if you got someone upstairs renting space, I mean, just wasting your time. And for me, that's happens to me a lot. It still happens. We talk about it behind the scenes off the air about the clown show in our lane sometimes, but it is what it is. We don't have any control over it. And good stuff as always. I'm much, much appreciated. Anything else, sir?
No, sir. I'm just hoping that we can back up our 2-0 NBA yesterday and see if we can add to it today.
And I'll have some nuggets on my timeline for the Twitterville tonight. Always remember this. If you are investing and wagering this evening and you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We'd like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Always, always, always wager responsibly. Have some fun with it. Remember this. If you are on the edge of your chair for every missed free throw, every missed three-pointer, every missed rebound, a three-pointer against you, a missed extra point, you're in too much. Why don't you pull back the reins? Because it should just reflect off your shoulder. It's numbers. That's all it is. So if you went 8-2 last week, don't expect to go 8-2 this week. Yeah, it happens. You can get on one of those heaters, but just as quick as you went 8-2, you can go 2-8 real quick with a couple missed free throws and a couple missed extra points. So with that, everyone have a blessed night. Enjoy the games. There's a hell of a slate on the hardwoods. I didn't even talk NHL, which I'm going to post. That's what I'll do tonight for everyone. I'll post maybe a freebie on my Twitter for some hockey tonight. And myself will catch you tomorrow at 1 with Andrew McGinnis as we cross the border, talk Super Bowl props and talk some NHL. And then tomorrow night, of course, my co-host right here, Mr. Scott E. Webb, and the closing bell. Have a great night, guys. See you tomorrow.